Hey, my name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be my final pans in my collection video for 2024. This is just an ongoing series I do every maybe 4 to 6 months, just depending on when I get around to filming it. I'm just going to show you all the new pans I have, show you the pans I've expanded, and then remind you of all the other pans I have, but unfortunately have not used since. I'll start with the stuff that I haven't used yet, and those would be my Natasha Denona singles. These are, one is from the Retro Glam palette, and then one's from like the original Glam palette. Yeah, I hit pan in both of these. I think this one last year in my Graveyard Project pan. I love this shade, by the way, even though, you know, I don't like or support the brand. I do like this shade. It's not like anything special, but it's nice to just like, because it's in its own packaging, it's nice to just bring with me. I mean, clearly I haven't, because I have not expanded the pan, but I do like to use this one like when I was panning it, just for travel, because it's like, even when I am traveling on vacation, I don't like to do anything super out there or punchy or dramatic anyway. And I feel like, in my opinion, Natasha Denona metallics are very lackluster. So, and this is a nice like muted shade for me, so I really like to use this for that. But yeah, again, I haven't used it. And then I have this inner corner shade that for me is an inner corner shade. And yeah, again, I haven't used it, but I do have like a very decent pan on this. Again, because this is in its own individual packaging, it's nice for travel, but I would only ever really use this if like the palette I was bringing with me for travel did not have an inner corner highlight, which is rare, but it does happen sometimes. So that's what, if I had used this is what I would use it for. Then I also have 5 Super Shocks from ColourPop, and I don't believe I've expanded any of the pans, unfortunately. But this one is in no particular order. This one is in Ripple. This one is Moonwalk, which is my favorite ColourPop shade, or Super Shock shadow and shade in general. It's a green red duochrome. It's so beautiful. This one is Corsage, and either Corsage or this one, which is Green Juice, is my newest pan. I love greens. This one is like a yellowy green, and then this one is more of a sage green. They're both beautiful. And then I have Rooftop Cocktails, which is my least favorite Super Shock, but I like this a lot as a topper. In fact, it's kind of like the exact same shift as what I'm wearing as a topper on my eye look now. I mean, it doesn't look like a topper because it's very, very punchy. It's a Terra Moon shade, but I pretty much use these in the exact same way, and it's the same like pink blue shift. I just dug the cap into the pan. One that I have technically expanded, but not by much, probably nothing noticeable because I've only used it once since hitting pan in my No Pan Left Behind, is my NYX Ultimate Edit Warm Neutrals. Yeah, Warm Neutrals palette. It's just this lid setting shade. It's nothing special, and technically, like, I know I've expanded the pan because I have used it, but it just like, it's still such a tiny pan. Sorry about the reflection, but you can see it there. I mean, I'm sure it was smaller before because the formula in this NYX palette is super, like, it's super thin, so you don't really get a lot of like product on your brush or kick up. You kind of just get like the minimal possible product, similar to the Essence blushes. So once I hit like a tiny little pinprick of pan in here, I just called it a day. So like, now that you can actually properly see it, I'm sure that is like a pan expansion, because the pan was like almost not noticeable before, so that's good, I guess. Then my final update is in, well, technically it used to be my ColourPop Lucky Penny palette. It was the shade Hit It Big. It still is the shade Hit It Big, but I depotted, as you saw in my makeup inventory, I depotted all of my like depottable ColourPop palettes And this is it right here. Again, I've used it only once in my No Pan Left Behind, so the pan hasn't expanded like a bunch, but it's definitely bigger than it was before. Again, just like the NYX one, because it took me so many uses to hit pan in that shade because it's ColourPop matte. As soon as I got like a pinprick of pan, I stopped using it. But ColourPop does have like a thicker, like more powdery formula than NYX, so I think that one use expanded the pan even more than in the NYX palette. Oh, I forgot about one thing, and it's the pan in my not Sigma Ambiance, the other palette that I was panning last year, which is the Sephora Blues Beauty palette. Again, I use this because I think I actually used this a few times this year. I look very washed out in the camera right now, but I used this maybe a few times this year, at least once for sure, because it was in my No Pan Left Behind. But this is the same story as the other two. The formula in these palettes from Sephora, it is again super thin, but the pans are even deeper, so it took so many uses. So I'm satisfied with this little baby pan, and you can't really see a pan expansion, even though technically like it had to have expanded just the tiniest bit because I did use it. It's still a pan in my collection. I'm very happy about that. Now on to new pans, and I just want to briefly mention I technically did have pan in my Franken powder that was like the Maybelline powder foundation and the Givenchy loose powder like deluxe sample, the Franken powder that I had. I hit pan and then I just finished it before I was able to film this video, so I just wanted to mention that because I can't show it here, but I want you all to know I had another pan. The powder that I'm currently using will also have the same fate. I know that by the time I get around to filming this again in like 3 months, it'll be gone. But I do have a new pan in my Sigma Ambiance palette. It's in the shade Days here, and it's a really good pan actually. I did not stop using it. Unlike the other palettes, I did not stop using it once I hit pan. I kept going because I was using this other shade, which as you can see the pan has expanded a lot in this one. This is Basque. So I had the palette out anyway, so I just kept using the shade, which is why it's not a pinprick pan. But yeah, other than the new pan here and the pan in Basque that is just gigantic, I have expanded the pans in Candlelight and Enrich. Enrich definitely will have more of an expansion because I think I used this like 3 or 4 times throughout the year, even like since the last update for this series. So the pan isn't huge, but it has been expanded. I did use Candlelight once since last update, so there will be, you probably can't tell, but there will be some difference, but again, it's just like not super noticeable. But I'm just so happy with this palette. Every time I bring this back for the series, I just like get more and more excited about like the new pans I have and the expanded pans I have. Probably tomorrow or maybe the day after that, I will be frankening this with a shade in my Sephora Southwest Sunrise palette that I'm decluttering, because I do want to have like a medium warm brown shade in this palette, and this is like, I can't even get this on my brush anymore. But I've been waiting to do that just to film this video. But the next time you see this palette, the pan will be no more. I forgot to mention the other palettes that I already had pan in, which were my e.l.f. Cream and Sugar and Hot Jalapeno quads. So I had these in my Project Level Up, and I hit pan in all 4 shades. Actually, I think I had pan in all 4 shades last time, but I can't remember for sure. But I have pan in all 4 shades now, so that's really exciting. Then in my Hot Jalapeno, I do have like pan in this one, but that's because I accidentally dug my nail into this. But real pan is only in these 2 shades. I will be decluttering all of my bite-sized quads this year because they're just getting older and I've used them so much. But it's kind of sad because I won't have these pans in my collection anymore, but I'm I'm not gonna keep something just because it has a pan in it. The other two bite-sized quads have new pans. So I was able to, I previously had 3 pans in the pumpkin pie quad, but then I was able to hit pan in this final shade. And the pan is huge. It's the biggest pan that I have in this entire palette, so I'm really happy about that. I've panned the entire palette now. The palette that I'm wearing right now, which is the Truffles quad, which was my level 1 palette. I previously only had pan in 1 shade, which was the dark brown, but now I have pan in 3. So I hit pan in this silver shade, and just today in this look I hit pan in this medium brown. As you can see, I really tried to hit pan in this black shade, and I don't know if you can see how deep this dip is. I was very close, but no cigar. I'm filming my empties video tomorrow, so maybe if I use this tomorrow I will have pan in it. We'll just have to see. That would be really great because then I could count this as an empty. But for now, for this video, I only have pan in these 3, but that's, you know, perfectly fine with me. I'm glad that I was even able to get those other 2 pans because this only had pan on the 1 shade. And I really do like this palette, so I was glad to like take it out again. This shade was crumbling so much. I did like press as much shadow as I could back into the pan, so it's not like I was just letting it crumble away and that's how I hit pan. I did hit pan naturally on this, but yeah, the quality in these quads is unfortunately declining. Other than this one brown shade here, everything else is just not very good. I'll potentially repurchase this one in the future. That's all the pans I have though. Most of the pans that I have regularly are in face powders, and I just end up finishing them as soon as I get pan. For next time, I don't know if I'll be filming this again in 3 or 4 months. I'd want to do it on a regular basis, but in the next 3 or 4 months I do want to have more pans in my Sigma Ambiance if I can swing it, because at this point there aren't any shades without pan that have dips, so I'd have to work very hard. But I just want to always keep working on this palette because I love it so much and it's just great quality. I am very well, considering how many uses it takes, not actually, but I have very large dips in 2 shades in this palette, these 2 right here. So if by some miracle I could hit pan in either or both of those shades in 2025, that would also be amazing. I also really do love this palette. It's such a great staple palette, and similar to the Natasha Denona single that I said I like to use as just like this one. I'm not good at describing things. This is also a very comparable shade in finish and in color, so this could be like my go-to travel palette maybe. Then finally, I do want to have more pans in Super Shocks pretty much every time I do an update for this. As long as I have Super Shocks in my collection, I want them to have pans. And I think I have maybe like 7 more Super Shock shadows that don't have pan in them, of course, or else they wouldn't be in this video. But I just feel like they go bad, as in like they dry out so quickly. If I'm going to buy Super Shocks, I need to actually be using them. So that's just always going to be a goal of mine. But I'll let you go here. I'll stop talking. I'll just have to see you in my next video, which will be my December makeup empties. I said I was gonna stop talking and I haven't. But until then, I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.